Yeah, it's one of those pregnancy moments, really. It's one of those things that kind of blotto, because I think I've said quite a few times that actually during our time together, we've rarely had moments where we both were miles apart and we just disagree on something, and we don't have that. We've never really had those times until you remind me of that one.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode. Happy summer, everybody. We're here with yet another summer special. We got our short sleeves on today, Jase. It's I'll be honest with you, it's tipping over rain outside, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Yeah, happy summer, everyone.
Yeah, we've had I think the driest sort of June on record, the hottest summer. We've had a massive dry spell. We've got hosepipe bans here, and we've recorded on the one day where it's raining.
We've done well. We have done well. But it's cool, unlike our other summer specials where we've been sweltering. So, yes, it's nice and cool today.
Yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy with that. I'm really, really happy because the false exit finally is actually live. It's actually out there. It's available for purchase right now. You can get it on Amazon. It's available in Kindle. It's available in a paperback. And new for 2023, it's available in a hardcover. That is actually on my desk. I'm banging there because I don't have a copy of the hardcover one yet. I'm still waiting for it to be delivered. But as you hear this, you should be able to receive what I think is going to be. And I'm really excited about this. I mean, I'm a proper book geek, but the fact that I can actually have a hardcover copy of one of my books for the first time, very excited about. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Yeah, hard cover, John. That's something to keep the shelf up now, isn't it? So yeah, really good.
It is. It means I can have forward-facing copies of my books that won't have the little bend on the top that you get with the paperbacks. I need to rotate them every now and then. Anyway, I digress. By the way, for those interested, I know particularly lots of our podcast listeners are interested. The audiobook. The audiobook is coming. It's going to be January 2024. Audible have got a little bit of a backlog in terms of release dates. So I'm heading into the studio in September to record the audiobook. I did, if those regular listeners to the podcast will have heard a few weeks ago, on launch day for the False Exit, I did a little test narration of the opening chapter in which I discovered that the phrase lugging buckets is quite difficult to say when you're narrating, and it doesn't roll off the tongue the way it did when I was typing. When I was typing it, I thought, this is brilliant alliteration. Oh, look at that, lugging buckets, brilliant. Yeah, don't try it. That's a bit like a tongue twister. Do you want to have a go at that, Jason? Just, lugging buckets.
Lugging buckets. We can do some lugging buckets. If you want to lug a bucket, then lugging buckets is the way to lug it.
Oh dear.
How's that?
That's pretty good. Yes. I think buggets was what I said, but it could have been worse. The alliteration. Yeah.
Can I say that? No.
Anyway, so today, what we talk about, and this is something that I do go through this in the book, but I thought actually, as we've got you here, it's worthwhile seeing what you remember about this as well, because I wrote about basically our many failed exits in our attempts to extricate. That's the word, extricate or extract, or just remove ourselves from the day-to-day operations of the business. We've tried getting out many times, and as I said, I do talk about these exits in the book, or these failed exits. So I thought it'd be really good to just have a little chat, see what we remember. We've talked about a few of these on the podcast before, but let's go. So we're going to walk through the 4 types of exit that you can make from your business. It is possible to make all 4 of these exits. It just wasn't possible for us.
Just not the way we did it.
Exactly.
Reader announcements, listener announcements. That's it. Yeah, you'll know that my memory is great, and much like pregnancy, when you give birth, you kind of forget how painful it is. Well, that's kind of where my memory stands. So we'll see how we go. I'm sure there'll be lots of times I go, oh yeah, I remember the time when.
Yeah, but I've got a rose-tinted glasses on. Like, oh, remember when we absolutely hated our business and it nearly killed us? Oh, brilliant, wasn't it?
What a lovely time.
So let's start with the traditional exit. Someone comes along, waves a big check in front of you and says, hey, we'd like to buy your business. We very nearly went down that road, didn't we? So I think I was in a business networking group. They introduced me to these business brokers. The brokers went, hey, get Jason in the car, drive up to Newbury. We'll have a meeting. We'll go through your accounts. We'll go through your strategy. We'll do a little bit of due diligence. We'll talk about the type of people who could buy your business. This all made a lot of sense. We kind of discussed it a little bit before. And I think we decided that we weren't really interested in selling at that point. But we'll grow out of curiosity, wasn't it? It was just, we'll find out, first and foremost, have we got a sellable business? And if so, how much could we have? Is that fair?
I think it is actually. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, somebody might be interested in buying it. Okay, what does that look like? What does that mean to us really? And what can we then do instead of that? And if we've kind of explored a few options and things, actually, if there was a lump sum cash come in, what would we then go on and do? So it was if somebody's writing you a check, it's like, okay, how can I spend it first? What does that even look like? And then, I think we then, went into that meeting and to work out exactly what that looked like. Definitely, that's fair to say.
Yeah, and I think the meeting went well. We were there for probably half a day in the meeting, and it was really positive. And we talked about evaluation, and they basically said, "Yeah, we think we could get £2 million for the business. These are the next steps. These are the potential buyers we think would be interested in buying the company. This is the work you would need to go away and do next. This is how long the process is going to take." And so we walked out of the meeting room, said, well, thank you very much. Very interesting. We jumped in the car and then said, cool. So where are you going to moor your yacht?
Something like that, wasn't it?
Should we get a golf membership now or just wait until we've actually sold? In the drive home, we pretty much just spent the £2 million. I went, well, literally someone wants to give us £2 million for our business now. Like all this work we're doing, all the stress we've got, all the sleepless nights, all the effort we've put in thus far, brilliant. We can actually cash in the golden goose. Brilliant. Let's do it. So emailed the guy and said, let's do it. Brilliant. We'll start the ball rolling. 7 days later, I get a Dear John email. Sorry, we can't sell your business. It was very well worded. It was, we always like to give ourselves the best chance of, and they did tell us this in the meeting. They like to get a little bidding war going. They don't want a business which there's 1 or 2 buyers. They want a business where there's 15 buyers, and they can create a real bidding frenzy between those 15 to say, actually, we're going to maximize the valuation for the selling business owner. And they said, we're not confident that we can put together that kind of bidding war. Again, we had a business that was very unusual. I think anytime we explain to people what we do, it took a lot of explaining, didn't it? It's like, oh, so how does that work?
You do what?
Yeah, it was. So what's the business? How do you earn money doing that? And so it needed lots of explanation, which meant that most businesses who would go around buying other businesses wouldn't naturally get the business model. So they said, right, we can't do it. At which point we went, they said, oh, of course you can still explore it yourself. You can still achieve a sale. You can still get your £2 million. We just won't do it for you. At which point we went, what the hell do we do now then? I think it was a case of like over those, 2-3 weeks, we went from, we don't want to sell our business Let's find out. Oh, we're going to get 2 million quid. Brilliant. We've made it. We can sail off into the sunset, back down to earth with a bump. You got to do it yourself. It's all on us again. And I think because we didn't know where to start, we said, oh, well, let's just carry on as well. Let's go back to not wanting to sell the business again. Mm-hmm. But let's take what we've learned in this meeting, where the guy said, well, actually, at the moment, what's hurting your valuation is this area of the business still relies on you. You're still involved here. If you exit the business, the new owner is going to say, well, I've got to employ someone to do your role. I've got to actually spend some money here. That's going to add risk to my investment. So I'm not going to pay you as much. We said, well, let's just go away and let's start systemizing. Let's put some processes in place to remove us as that bottleneck.
I think that's a fair and accurate assessment, actually. Yeah, remembering back now as you were explaining it was exactly that, wasn't it? And because the business itself is so different than most traditional businesses, their assessment was finding the right person would be tricky to do to replace us, and therefore that was the detraction, the thing that wasn't appealing about the business, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, they didn't know our sector, they didn't know our industry. In hindsight, and we're recording this, 7 years later? No, 7 years later. There have been a lot of acquisitions within that industry, and there are companies that go around just snapping up companies exactly like we were. And actually, there was a buyer out there who we didn't know. We didn't know that buyer at the time. And that was that whole thing. We didn't know how to do it. The only way we were going to make a full exit was the way we'd exited Net Free Stuff, our freebie website, which is someone randomly comes along and says, could I buy your business, please? And we go, yeah, all right. That was our only experience of it. The actual process of going and putting our business up for sale, identifying, courting buyers. As I said, I know people who that is their entire business model. That's what they do. For the right business owner, that's great. We did not feel comfortable doing that. We didn't know what we were doing. The example I used in the book is like Chris Tarrant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, just dangled that £2 million check in front of us. Said, right, so I've got a check here. John and Jason, there you go. I can't do a Chris Tarrant impression. Sorry, I don't know if are you able to do a...
No.
Okay, we won't attempt.
Jeremy Clarkson, go for him instead.
Does he still do the check thing? I don't know.
Good question.
Yeah, but it was like, John and Jason, there you go, £2 million. But we don't want to give you that. And then, unfortunately, it wasn't. We've got a bigger check here for £4 million. It was no. We just don't want to. We just don't want to give you that. So that's the full exit. Let's look next at a partial.
It's fair to say, just what you think about that is actually we talked ourselves out of that as well. From what I remember, it was kind of actually, I thought that would have been really nice. But actually, we've got a business here that's generating a profit every month. It's good, providing us with a good income, and actually, there's a bit of a cash cow is probably not the right term for it, but it was kind of actually, why are we doing that now, and why is that the right place? So we actually talked ourselves out of it a little bit in terms of, that £2 million was really attractive, but actually the X number of £1,000 a month was actually just as attractive at that time too. So it was an easy conversation between us, really. That was like, we don't want to do that now, because actually, if we do the steps that are needed, that £2 million would be £5 million or £10 million when we're ready to do it, I think. And that's I think that was kind of that discussion, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that £2 million. When someone was going to just give us £2 million, it was like, great, we're going to be millionaires, fantastic. When they said we're not going to give you £2 million, we went, oh yeah, well that's just as well, really, because kind of after tax, it's going to be like 1.5. We've actually got some debts to pay off over here, so that's going to be a little bit less. Then we've got to divvy up. Oh my God, there's going to be lawyers to pay. Oh God, we're going to have to do due diligence. Oh my God. Well, we're probably going to be left with about, 1.3, 1.4 by the time we divvy it up. And then our income's going to stop. Like overnight, we're not going to have an income. And we've got to turn that 1.3 million, 1.2 million back into an income. And I remember that from the net free stuff days, and that was much smaller numbers. We sold for, was it 125,000? The business was earning probably $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
And just, we had this, I don't know, the first month was brilliant. It was like, I just kept looking at the bank account going, we've got 6 figures in the bank. It's like, I have £100,000 cash sat in my bank account. And then the next month, we're like, there's no income going into this account. There's nothing going in. All the expenses are coming out. We still need to live. And it's like, oh, crikey. So, yeah, just at the back of my mind was, I remember how stressful that period was of, well, you've probably got 2 years to replace the income. That was quite stressful, replacing a £5,000 a month income. Replacing a, 50 grand a month income was like, that's really stressful. I don't think I want to do that. And yeah, it's really interesting that we convinced ourselves both ways. When someone dangles a check, I'm convinced I want that check. And when someone whips it away, like, I didn't want the check anyway.
Exactly that. It was just great. Not great. It was just interesting to reflect back on that and just to see, that complete switch in our own heads and our own conversation and our own mindset. I think is the thing. It was actually, it's there and now it's not. It doesn't matter with one anyway. It's kind of this is the way we want to do it instead.
Exactly right. So let's look at a partial exit, and this is where I think a lot of business owners that I speak to now will say, particularly very early on in their journey, and this is when it happened in my journey, was I quite like doing what I do, but I don't really like running the business. I don't like the business side of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a business partner in, and they're going to do the running of the business thing while I get to play around making cupcakes, or in my case, building websites and playing with Google Ads. This was my first attempt at leaving, because I'd gone from being an employed civil servant to being a self-employed, I don't want to say internet entrepreneur, because that implies I knew what I was doing. No, I figured stuff out. I played around online, trying to find ways to earn money. Eventually that worked. It worked really well. It then worked unbelievably well, and I scaled up massively. So I think I've talked before about, first 9 months of the business, I earned £13.51. Next 9 months, took it to being able to quit the day job. 9 months after that, I'm earning 100K a year. And it's like, wow, this has just gone from like literally 0 to 100 in about 2 years. So with this meteoric rise, the business went from me in my bedroom working on a website to, at the time, probably me, you, and Ryan working in our respective bedrooms or respective houses on maybe 3 or 4 websites. And that kind of worked too. And that was the problem. Me on my own worked. Me and you worked. Me, you, and Ryan worked. Okay, I see where this goes. I can plot out this trajectory. I know what happens from here. So 1 is good, 2 is better, 3 is even better. Let's go to 15. And it wasn't 3 to 4, and then a few months later. It was pretty much 3 to 15 in probably about a 3 to 6 month period. 2 offices. Let's massively scale up. By the way, my accountant warned me at this point. He said, John, you're scaling way too fast here. You're growing way too big, way too quickly. And I just went, what do you know? You're an old school accountant. This is the internet. Things are different now. This is, 24-year-old me, 23-year-old me. I am full of testosterone and bravery and naivety. And I just think, no, I've got the Midas touch here. I know what I'm doing. Look, I've gone from 0 to 100K a year in 18 months, 2 years. So thank you, Mr. Accountant, with your bad fitting suits and your Nissan Micra. But I know what I'm doing far better than you do, because this is the new world. Yeah, he was right. So I did scale way too big, way too soon, to the point whereby 15 members of staff, 2 offices. God, I mean, how many websites did we create?
We were probably about actually published and up and running and earning some money before Google decided we didn't want to earn any money anymore. That was, I'd say, about 40.
Yeah.
I'd say about 40.
Yeah. And the ones that weren't earning money, but were going to, because they were all multi-million pound ideas, probably about another 40.
Yeah, probably another 40 on top of that.
And domains, probably another 40 on top of that. But it just became a huge business. So it became me, self-employed, earning a ton of money, to a very big business, which suddenly wasn't making money, it was losing money. And again, my naivety was just like, okay, so what we need to do then is find the next website that's going to earn a load of money. And we'll just build another website. We'll just launch another new business. Oh, someone over here is doing well with, geo-targeted websites based on individual towns. Right, we'll get our coders to do that, knock that up. Right, we've got one. Oh, that works. We're getting a little bit of traction for florists in Totnes. Great, let's get one for sex shops in Dundee. Let's get one for serviced office accommodation in Stoke-on-Trent. And that's how thin and wide we spread ourselves. Gone from earning probably 10k a month on my own in my bedroom to losing 25k a month across all these offices, and everything's on me because I've just gone, when again, because I don't know what I'm doing. When the landlord says, here's your lease, I go, sign that. Yep. And it's only 3 years later when you try and get out of that lease that they look at it and say, oh, you've personally guaranteed this for 10 years. This thing called fully repairing lease. Well, what does that mean then? Oh, well, that means that, all the asbestos that's up in the loft. Yeah, that's your problem. All the kind of health and safety stuff that should have been done in the 70s but wasn't. Yeah, that's your problem as well. All the staff weren't paying. That's your problem as well. And it just became really, really stressful. So I kind of just said, Jase, can you just run things for me? Just you have it. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm not going to come to the office. I'm going to sit at home in my little bedroom here. I'm going to work on Google Ads. I'm going to go back to what actually earns the money, and just please take my business off me. I think to the point at which I actually handed over 49% of the company to yourself and Mark, who was with us at the time. We were working together. We were kind of what I would call the management team. And I just said, look, I can't do this anymore. I went to the hospital. I had my face was covered in this weird rash. And I went to see a dermatologist, and this poor lady, she said to me, she's got this massive, massive magnifying glass on my face. There's a big, powerful light shining at me. And she's like, are you under any stress at all? And I just went, yes, I do this, and I've got this lease I've got to do, and there isn't enough money in the overdraft, and the VAT bill's due next month, and then I've had this letter from the solicitor, and I don't know what's going on here, and this person's sleeping with this person, and this person won't work with that person, and I just hate my business. And she went, so that's a yes, is it?
Psychiatry's just down the road.
Yeah, this is dermatology. You want therapy. And it just, so I came back and went, like, guys, I can't do this. I'm going to leave the business. So you have my business. And it was, for those who are listening on the audio, I'm kind of making a foisting motion with my hands, because that is exactly what I was doing. It was the hot potatoes. I don't want this anymore. So just please take it off my hands and just look after it for me. I've described that as, foisting, complete abdication. I'd love to hear from the other side what your kind of experience of that was at that time.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually, because I don't think when you did step away, retire, I think it was the word we used.
I was 27 years old.
lots of the problems weren't necessarily there at that particular time. It wasn't a case of here's a hot potato. I didn't think actually at that time. Here's a hot potato. You grab it and you run with it. It was very much actually, yeah. This is all kind of working. It's all good. I want to find some time to do some other stuff now, and yeah, you guys, you take it on, and yeah, and I'm going to go and do whatever it was you wanted to go and do. Utility warehouse, was it something like that? Was it? It was good. There was something else you went off to do anyway, but that's another story, isn't it? But yeah, and then kind of then lots of things hit the fan, and it was kind of like and there's lots that just kind of came compounding down. You may well have seen all that coming, in fairness, but we probably didn't see that at that time. But yeah, kind of coping and but dealing with, and yeah, there's the staff being the biggest problem of the bunch, really, and I think overstaffing was certainly that. It was, and I know we talk now in the 1% Club about the wrong people on the wrong bus going the wrong way and all of that kind of stuff, and we were definitely in that category. I mean, after Ryan, our first set of hires was for one person, and we ended up with several. And that was
always like them.
Well, he's quite nice, and she's quite nice, and they're quite nice, and I think we took 4 out of the 5 that we interviewed or something like that, and we only wanted one because we were going to grow sustainably. So that was I think the launch pad to where those things went. And obviously with the likes of Google changing its algorithms and kind of taking away the income part of all of our businesses, or a lot of our businesses, and us really diversifying away from what our core product was at the time. There's lots of things compounded to create a big issue, I think is fair to say.
Knowing what we know now and kind of going through the false exit framework at that time, the reason that I went after that partial exit was I don't want to give away the business. I don't want to lose the business again. This is my livelihood. I created this thing. It's my baby. It's my golden goose. I don't want to lose it. So let's carve it up and let's just cut parts of it away. But vision and values. There was no vision. Just go and create websites. Just earn money. Values. Earn money. That was the only values. And as things got tougher, the vision became earn money quickly, because we're running out of money really, really quickly. So just earn money. Values, whatever values you need to do to earn a ton of money, because we really need to keep the lights on here. So no vision, no values. The right people. No, certainly did not have the right people. We had completely the wrong people on our bus. We had the wrong people in the wrong seats, and we didn't even know where the bus was driving. We were just, circling the parking lot. We barely left the depot most days. But again, no vision. So how are we supposed to know where to drive the bus if there's no vision? Decision-making framework. No, just we told everyone, go and make your own decisions, or everything was top up. Okay, if you want to know what to do about X, go and ask the boss. If you want to know what to do about Y, go and ask the boss. Hence, and this is where I really fell out of love with it. What should I do about the fridge being broken? Let's ask John. Let's take him off the Google ads that he's earning a load of money on, and all the stuff that brings in the revenue. Let's ask him to order more toilet rolls.
It was the toilet rolls which got me.
Let's get him to deal with the unwashed mugs in the kitchen. What should I do about this person won't speak to that person? And it just became, again, there was no decision-making framework other than just put everything upstairs. And the more I abdicated, again, the more I just stepped back and said, just you deal with this. I'd pop in the office when I had to on a Friday afternoon. And of course, what then happened every Friday afternoon was a week's worth of complaints, requests, and decisions to be made were all saved up for me, which made me really hate Friday afternoons. I don't think I could have quit drinking at that point, by the way, because we used to go to the pub afterwards. That was the only thing that kept me going, was going to the pub on Friday afternoon and playing Killer with you and Mark in the pub. That was the only thing that kept me going. Get rid of the wrong people, and we'll play Killer. We'll have some beers, and we'll just therapy. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Systems. No systems. We didn't have systems. The systems were do what you want, just earn money. It's no surprise with hindsight that a partial exit didn't work. Something else to consider, and we might talk about this on the next one as well, is when I handed over 49% of the company to you and Mark, at that point, neither of you had ever run a business. You'd worked for lots of businesses, you'd been entrepreneurial, you'd worked within our business for a couple of years. What could go wrong? Well, what could go wrong is you've never run a business before. Mm-hmm. So just saying to someone, right, you've never done this before, go do it, and then walking away and just leaving them to it and not helping them in any way, shape or form, it's never going to end well. If I think about when I first started running the business, I didn't have a clue what the hell I was doing. I made so many mistakes, and then I create the golden goose and then just hand it over to someone else who was back where I was a couple of years earlier. So yeah, abdication, asking people who've never run it, knowing that difference between doing a good job and being a good worker, a good employee, and being a business owner. They are two different things, which leads to the next type of exit, which is putting the team in charge. Management buyout. Again, this is something that works for some people. Riverford Organic Farms is the example I've used in the false exit. It worked very, very well for them. They are now completely 100% employee owned. There's 650 employees. Those 650 people own the business and run the business. That works very well for them. For us, we went down the mediocre MD route, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. This was, I think it was a strategy that I'd heard on a podcast. And this guy said, you don't want to sell your business. You give away the golden goose, you pay a load of money in tax, then you got to replace the income, all the stuff we talked about earlier. So what you want to do is you want to put a mediocre MD in place. He said, even if they're just like, I don't know, 80% as good as you, or even half as good as you still own the asset. He said, they'll run the business. They're not going to run it as well as you because nobody can do it as good as I can. But they'll run the business. You still own it. You never have to pay the tax. And 5 years later, 10 years later, you still own the golden goose. You still got the income stream. I like the sound of that. Again, having convinced ourselves we don't need a £2 million lump sum, well, let's just put an MD in place. Let's put a mediocre MD in place, train them up, give them the frameworks that they need to run our business, and we can just help them. And that was kind of how we saw it, wasn't it? We'll get the MD in place. There's already a team in place. There's already some systems in place because, again, we've started systemizing the business after not getting that £2 million check. All we need to do now is put an MD in place. The MD runs the team. We then have a monthly board meeting with the MD. We say, okay, let's have a look at the KPIs. Let's go through the numbers. We're not fully abdicating here. We're delegating, aren't we? Mm-hmm. How did that work out?
Not very well. Is that the best way of putting it? Again, it's that mediocre MD part, I think, really. Skill set's not quite there. We weren't in a place to be coaching or doing the bits that's necessary to make sure that person had the skills and things that actually were needed. We also didn't put in the checks and stuff to make sure that the strategies that we were giving were being followed successfully or completely or even at all. I think we were happy to hear that everything was good and everybody was happy, and that was really nice to hear that every month, and so that was, we didn't really kind of question that, I guess. So yeah, not very well.
Yeah. I think in the past I've used the word decimated. The business was decimated, which I've always taken to mean like almost obliterated, like it was almost flattened. But decimated doesn't mean that, does it?
No, I've watched a Roman thing recently, and decimated is 1 in 10 of the soldiers were killed.
Reduced by 10%.
1 in 10 decimated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was decimated, but then it was decimated again the next month. It was decimated the following month, and that compounded to basically lead to about a 70% reduction in our annual profits, which we expected a dip. Again, that ego that, well, they're not going to run it as well as us, obviously. So yeah, we expect it to be decimated. We expect a 10% reduction, 25% reduction. Fully expect that. We're going to be paying our MD. So there's some new overheads in there. Fully expect that. Not a problem. We've factored that into our decision. What we didn't expect was that for them to take our vision of a direct response marketing company, and bear in mind this was in the job application that we are a direct response marketing company, and decide themselves that I don't like direct response marketing, so we're going to knock that on the head. So, and this was only 9 months after she's been in place. We had a chat with Rob, a marketing guy, and said, "How's it going, Rob?" And Rob's reply was just the most insightful one word I have ever known. And I remember exactly where we were in a hotel when we were going to the football, and we were at the hotel, we're having a meal, and it's, "Oh, how are things going then?" And he went, and I was like, "Oh." And immediately, like this red, like siren was going off, like, "What's going on?" And he went, "Well, Diane doesn't really like marketing." Like, what do you mean she doesn't like marketing? So, well, she feels it's a bit like, I don't know, in your face. It's direct response marketing. It's supposed to be in your face. It's all about getting people off the fence and getting them to make a decision. And this is the business that she said, yeah, she doesn't like it. Like, so, well, what has she got you doing? "Oh, I'm answering customer support emails." You're doing what? What's the customer support rep doing? "Oh, she's got her creating images for the Facebook group because we've decided that would be nice." Like, that would be nice. Like, but that doesn't earn any money. That's what I thought. And again, vision and values. We had actually very clear vision at that time. We articulated that vision to Diane every month in the board meeting. And every month she smiled and she nodded, and then she went away and did her own thing because she had a different vision for the company. She had different values. Our values were, we're doing a great service for our members here. Direct response marketing enables us to help the proportion of those who can make a decision and actually decide to work with us. Her values were, I don't like marketing. So immediately that makes her the wrong person. And I say immediately because this is a line I've used in the book, is that you can buy into someone else's vision. Your team can buy into your vision. This is where we're going. This is where we're heading. Great. But they cannot buy into your values because your values are your values. Their values are their values. You don't adopt values. You don't discover values. You just have them. And if you have people with different values to you, you are going to, at some point, pull in different directions. Decision-making frameworks, we told Diane what our decision-making framework was. In the board meetings, we'd say, this is how we make the decision. This is why we do it this way. And then she would go away and just make her own decision. Systems, there were systems in place, but what there were not systems in place for were trust yet verify. We were not verifying that, she was telling us everyone's happy. We weren't verifying that everyone was happy until months later when we take Rob to the football and he goes, yeah. Or Or we chat to Lee and he says, here's my resignation letter because I can't work with her anymore. It's like, oh, but I thought you were happy. We thought that, but we weren't verifying that. And I think every month we looked at the KPIs, we looked at numbers, they were heading in the wrong direction. But we were told a good narrative every month. There were plenty of good reasons why the numbers didn't look good this month, but next month they'll be better.
I think we had systems in place for them to follow. We didn't have systems in place for us to check they were being followed. I think that's the thing, because the systems, the direct marketing response, the 1-page marketing plan that was there in place for each of the businesses.
Oh God, how many times did we refer to that and it was still never used?
It's very easy. This is what you have to do each day. This is exactly it. In a nutshell, follow this and everything is, the numbers will go that way. Upwards. That is my hand is pointing upwards. And we didn't have those checks and balances to make sure that those were happening, and we never really followed those things up. So that's a really good bit to remember, is to always have those red flags and then and have those checks and balances to make sure that those systems are being followed. Yeah,
as I said, you've got to trust someone. And at the end of the day, if we put an MD in place to run our business, we can't be micromanaging the MD. She's got to be running the show, so we have to trust her. But we have to also verify that trust is justified, and that's what we failed to do. We almost abdicated. I think there was, we were involved still. We didn't completely, it wasn't like earlier when I've just foisted the business on you and went, just keep paying me and just, tell me how much my asset is worth. We did hand over control of the business to someone who, again, had never run a business. She'd managed teams before. She'd managed people before. Not within a direct response marketing business, because she doesn't like direct response marketing. Why would she work in that sort of business? So we just thought, well, it should be fine. She's run a team before, but running a team and running a business are two different things. They're very, very different mindsets. And running a team means keeping everyone happy. Running a business means keeping your head above water and keeping money coming in and keeping everyone happy. So we basically abdicated our business to someone who went against our vision and values. Right, we've gone through 3 potential things now. So you can either fully exit your business, you can partially exit your business, or you can put a mediocre MD, or you can just leave the team in charge. All 3 of which have failed. So I'm sure listeners are now going, well, why don't I just not bother? Why don't I just do absolutely nothing? And that is an option, because it's the option that most people will have taken so far. It's the option that we've taken at times throughout our career. And it's the option that most business owners take, because most business owners don't have an exit strategy. They aren't actively working towards an exit strategy. So I'm just going to keep on running it. Well, okay, first and foremost, you will exit your business at one point. Either you will die or your business will die. You will exit it at some point. It makes sense to at least have a little bit of control over how and when that happens. Now, my do nothing failure, and there's been plenty of them, but the main one I can think of here is it came to a head about 4 years ago, and it was, I think we might have just recorded a podcast in my kitchen, and that's how I know it's 4 years ago, because we were still doing them face to face in my kitchen at that time. Thank you, COVID. And I think we'd just done a podcast, and we were just about to go into a 1% Club coaching call. And we also were just getting rid of our mediocre MD at the time. So we were discussing what were going to happen there. Oh, and we need to launch this new product, and we need to change the pricing on this. Oh, and we've had a black swan happen over in this business. Oh, and by the way, this investment that we've done has gone bad. And the buy-to-let property we have in Bradford, it's that 350 miles away. That's uninhabitable. The council have deemed it uninhabitable. The Serious Fraud Office have been in touch about the investment that you've made in London. Oh, great. Multiple businesses are just either stagnating or failing, not getting our attention, being pulled in many, many different directions. I've just launched Routine Machine. So I said, hey, I'm going to go on 100 podcasts in a year. So I'm pitching to go on podcasts. I'm recording the podcast. I've got my PR company saying, why aren't you on social media? You need to be posting 3 times a day, every day, with brand new content, brand new throwaway, disposable, free content for a Silicon Valley company. Thank you, PR. Really, really enjoy doing that. Evergreen assets. That's the way forward. Get some evergreen assets. So I'm doing that. I'm writing books. I'm marketing books. I'm creating content for the 1% Club. Every month we say, hey, we're going to do live coaching calls. We're going to do brand new masterclasses. We're going to do a podcast. Started homeschooling the kids. So 2 days a week, I'm literally sat there going, I don't know, let me Google that for you. I have no idea. My parents are starting to get a little bit ill at this point. I think Dad had his first heart attack. Mum had been diagnosed with dementia. Sarah was struggling with, at the time, her job. She was off work with stress and anxiety. And on this day, I had a cold as well. So that's the most important thing to remember is I had a cold.
Oh, feeling under the weather then, John?
I was, and it was just stress. Again, stress, all of which, and it just, everything that we had there, the common factor in that was me. It was like, okay, I'll manage the property in Bradford. I'll be the point of contact for the bank here. And, you know, that limited company, yeah, get the paperwork coming to me and I'll create the masterclass. So what I'll do is I'll read a book, 8 hours. I'll then spend 3 hours writing up the slides for it. We'll then jump on, we'll do an hour recording for it. Then we'll put that out in there. That'll be about another hour promoting it. Right, I'm now going to write a book. And it's just like, right, oh, I'm homeschooling this morning. Right, let me do that. And it was just all over the place. Now, regular listeners to the podcast will know how much I really love spinning plates and juggling things and just doing multiple things all at the same time, whilst preaching about the importance of an ambitious lifestyle business. I was 100 mile an hour on the ambition at that point, and well, lifestyle was impossible. So I lost my shit. Is that the best way to describe it? I think we were having a heated discussion, literally in between. We'd stopped the podcast. The coaching call was coming up in like 15 minutes. Oh, and in order to do the coaching call, I needed to come up to the office, bring the laptop downstairs, the mixing board, the external microphones, plug it all in, get all the setup, test it, and that had to happen in the next 12 minutes. Meanwhile, multitasking. No such thing as multitasking. Meanwhile, we're discussing what should the pricing be for the VIP club on our sports betting business. And we're miles apart. And you're like, no, I think it should be, I don't know, £5. And I'm like, no, it should be 25. We're like, no, yes, no. And that's our discussion about it is no, I'm right. No, you're not. I'm right. No. And eventually I just went, I can't do this anymore. I just literally stormed out. And you're like, okay, don't quite know what happened there. And then nothing was mentioned for the rest of the day. We went through the coaching call. We went our separate ways. And I think I sent you an email over the weekend saying, sorry about that, mate. And it was, again, you could have been a dermatologist, because I sent you a bit of a vomit email about, right, okay, here's why that happens. Here's everything that's going on. This is everything we're doing. And it was literally, I used to keep it on my desk, this list of everything that we were doing. It was 4 pages of A4. And it's like, we need to stop doing at least 3 of these pages. We need to subtract stuff. This is where your business can go if you do nothing and you just carry on as you are. You will be the godlike genius through which everything flows and without whom nothing works. You will be the bottleneck that everyone comes to and says, what do you want to do about X? What should I do about Y? Should this be red or blue? What do you want, boss? Because again, that was the business I created, was what I want, where I want, when I want, how I want, if I want. So everyone knew that the correct thing to do was to find out what John wants before anything gets done. Which then led to me saying, yeah, but what I want is for people to not come to me to find out what I want. Oh dear. What again, I'm keen to know, and I may just cringe at this point, but what was your experience of that little toys out of the pram moment for me?
Kind of, it's one of those pregnancy moments, really. It's one of those things that kind of blotto, because I think I've said quite a few times that actually during our time together, we've rarely had moments where we both from miles apart and we just disagree on something, and we don't have that. We've never really had those times until you remind me of that one. So I think, like a pregnancy, I'm sure there must be times where we have had disagreements and stuff, but I don't tend to remember them. They're just not they're just like a pregnancy. You kind of forget about that pain, really, to be fair. So I kind of forgot about that particular episode, really. So
it's in the book, so you can relive it if you like.
Well, yes, but it's but now you say about it, yeah, absolutely, it did, and it did kind of leave me a little bit. Oh, hang on a second, what's going on here? We don't, I think we probably had one since then, to be fair, as well. And it's kind of like, okay, so we don't. It's kind of like, it's very interesting, isn't it? It is interesting, and I don't know. There is no answer. It's just how that is, I think. And many people have blown up at me, and it's not something that kind of take too much notice of, because actually it isn't. It isn't. Yeah, it just is what it is.
It is interesting because actually, if you think about that, and you say about other people blowing up, and it's quite possible, quite likely, in fact, that the same thing is happening there that was happening with us on that day. Was actually what was blowing up about wasn't what we were discussing. Mm-hmm. It was everything else, and it was that. Again, you think of the bottleneck or the straw that broke the camel's back. It's not that one thing. It's everything else that's causing the pressure to go, I can't deal with one more thing. I just cannot. It's literally over here, this side of the brain is going, oh, great, you've only got 8 minutes now. And it takes you at least 7 minutes to set this up. You need to sort this in the next 60 seconds. Otherwise, there's going to be 3 people messaging you going, where are you? You're supposed to be on a call now. And it is that.
I think that's the one thing I've kind of learned, actually, is that, obviously spend a lot of time with you. So actually, I think that's one of the things I kind of learned. Those times where you have kind of like gone, it has been over the most mediocre of things, and really things that haven't mattered. It's not like us breaking up over something. It was something ridiculous, really important. It's just actually something really mediocre, for bring that word back again. And so therefore, I realised that actually it's not a big, it isn't a big tantrum that you're having, kind of thing, or it's not a big, it's not a big, it's forgotten in no time at all. That's what it's about, really, isn't it? But and I guess handling pressures differently as well. I handle it in a completely different way than you, I guess. So, and therefore not understanding maybe how that's reflected in your way of dealing with pressures, and actually the number of pressures that you've kind of got, and how I deal with it are completely different things. And
again, thinking about doing nothing, vision and values, you've probably got that because you're carrying on as you are, as you want to carry on. Great. The right people, you may have the right people, but are you trusting the right people, or are you just hoisting your way or your will on them? Decision-making process, what do you have that? Certainly for me at that time, the decision-making process was nothing happens unless I approve it. That was the decision-making process. Systems, we had systems, but every single system involved me. And that was what needed to change at that point. Those are the 4 possible exits that you could take, other than this weird one that we discovered by accident that has led to this book, which is the false exit. And it's thanks to Chris Tarrant whipping that £2 million check away. It wasn't actually Chris Tarrant. Because as a result of us going away and saying, all right, we'll just start systemizing stuff, we'll just start removing ourselves as the bottleneck, it was really weird because we just carried on as we were, but we did some systemization work. Okay, we need to remove ourselves. We need to remove ourselves from day to day. We need to make sure we got a strong vision here. We need to make sure people know what we stand for. We need to make sure we've got the right people. We need to have a good team here. We need to make sure that everyone's in the right place in that team. We need to make sure that everybody knows how to make decisions without us. So there needs to be a decision-making framework. And any buyer is going to want to see systems. When we go to buyers, we want to be able to say, oh, we're not involved in the business. We just have systems. The systems run the business. We just manage the systems. So that's what we created before we knew that was a false exit. And then it was about a year later. So a year on from our, sorry, we don't want to buy your business for 2 million quid after all. I went on a holiday for, I want to say, a fortnight. And this was like one of the first times that I'd gone on holiday for a fortnight out of the country and hadn't taken the laptop with me. I had my phone with me, but the phone didn't ring. Nothing, as far as I was aware, nothing happened while I was away. I knew it would have done. I knew there would have been problems, there would have been fires, etc. Me putting out. I didn't hear of anything. So I got back in the country. You were going away, I think, for the next 2 weeks. So for a month, we were both, one of us was out of the country, unobtainable, apart from this one day we were both in the country, and we had this little handover. Like, oh, okay, so what's gone wrong? And you just went, nothing. Everything's fine. Oh, okay. What fires need putting out? None. Haven't really been going around lighting fires. So there's none that need putting out. Oh, anything you need me to look at while you're away? No, everything's systemized. We've got the processes there. It's all automated. Oh, well, anything you need me to do? And I think you were like scratching out. I don't know. We could have a chat with one of the team if you like. I mean, they know what they're doing and they're happily cracking on, but maybe just see if they need anything. Like, oh, okay. And then it was like, mate, we've done it. We've removed ourselves as the bottleneck. Our business doesn't rely on us. And we went, woohoo, oh, that's amazing. And then kind of we got a bit bored after that and realized that, yes, we had made our business not rely on us at all. What do we do now? We're far too young to just hit the golf course and retire, which means it's a good job we didn't just get that £2 million check. Hence, the 1% Club was born around my kitchen table. We had a conversation which said, hey, do you fancy launching a podcast? Hey, I'm thinking I'm going to write a book, And here we are. What was that? 6 years later now. Putting out our 4th book, which explains how we removed ourselves from the day-to-day operations of the business. We essentially exited our business, but still own it. If we'd taken that £2 million check 7 years ago, number one, we made some bad investments around that time, so we probably wouldn't have any of that £2 million left now. We would have handed it to people who we should not have trusted. But secondly, we wouldn't own the asset. 7 years later, we still own the business. It's still the golden goose. It's a very different business to what it was 7 years ago, but it's still our business. We still own it. We still own the asset. We have removed ourselves from day-to-day operation. We have systemized everything. We have strong vision and values. We have the right people in the right seats. We've given them our decision-making framework. We've put systems and processes in place, and we trust, yet verify that those systems are being followed. So we've exited our business. We still own it. If we wanted to, we could still sell that business. That business is now very sellable because, going back to that conversation with the broker, business doesn't rely on us. The business is systemized. The business is healthy. It's optimized. It's got a good team that know what they're doing. It is an asset that someone could just swoop in, takeoff. Literally, if you look at an organizational chart, me and you are at the top of that chart as shareholder. That's pretty much our only responsibility. We do choose to go in and give the best of us to the business, mainly creating evergreen assets, not posting on social media 3 times a day, which increases the asset value. I've certainly enjoyed the false exit. I've enjoyed it now, thinking back and thinking 7 years later, we still own the business. It's still our business. We own 100% of that business.
Mm-hmm. So any part of you regret not taking the £2 million, or at least pursuing that option?
No. And that is the weird thing. And I went through the kind of pros and cons within the book, because a few years ago we again discussed potential different ways we could exit, consider a traditional exit. And on the pros column was, I'd get a nice big lump sum. But in the cons column was, I don't need a big lump sum. What I need is cash flow. I like having an income from an asset coming in every single month. Again, regular listeners will know Rich Dad, Poor Dad has been on my bookshelf. It's one of the very, very first books I read when I started my business. So I understand the importance of cash flow far more than big lump sums. I'd much rather have 10 grand a month than £1 million in the bank, because I know what the cash flow is. The minute I have that lump sum, I'm thinking, how do I turn that into cash flow? As I said, if we'd had that check for £2 million, I would have been, I don't want to say like a lottery winner, but it wouldn't have been invested wisely at that time. With the benefit of hindsight, what the investments we did around that time did not go well. Mm-hmm. 10xing the amount of money we invested would have 10x'd the stress of that. So no, absolutely no regrets not taking that. The only thing that I think you would really benefit from that, and it's not a real benefit, is ego. It's, we sold a business for £2 million. Look at us, aren't we great? Beyond everyone patting us on the back for a couple of months and then the begging letters start arriving. You think, crikey, why did we do this? I think the ego boost of selling for a big lump sum would have been very short-lived. Whereas the long-term benefit of still owning that asset and it throwing cash flow off every year, I much prefer that.
Brilliant.
Again, for listeners, just because that's the right exit for us doesn't mean it's the right exit for you. If you read The False Exit, there is a process in there that I go through how to work out the best of those 5 exits for you. I've also created a template. Tell a lie, I haven't created it. One of my team has. When you have the right people and you just give them the vision, say, go and create this, and you give them the decision-making framework and the system to do that, they create great things. They have created a template whereby you list all the reasons, all you're thinking. You do that little therapy dump that, imagine you're with a dermatologist and they say, do you want to sell your business? What happens if you sell your business? What about if you just got a business partner in, you gave them a percentage? What about if you got the team to run things for you? What about if you carry on as you are? And then what about if you did a false exit? List all the pros, list all the cons, give them some scores, and this wonderful spreadsheet will just say, what you should do is X. So yeah, it's about finding the right exit for you. I hope you enjoyed the false exit. I certainly enjoyed my own false exits. I've enjoyed writing the book. I haven't enjoyed editing it. I never enjoy editing books.
Takes longer to edit than it does to write, I think, doesn't it?
It does. I think the writing was about 5 months and the editing was about 6. Yeah, 6 months of editing. Which is not good. You're effectively reading the book twice a week, every week for 6 months. Which does mean, obviously, that you know it inside out, but it also means that you're fed up of reading the same thing again. So, and now I've got to do it again to obviously narrate the audiobook. So, lugging buckets.
We would be able to do it from memory rather than reading the book itself.
I probably can.
Fantastic. Great. So that's the end of our summer special.
It is. Thank you, everybody. Join us next month for another exciting episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. Have a great summer. We'll see you next month.
Bye-bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.